Mark Levine, hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So President Trump postponed a military strike on Iran this week. Why is Trump so eager to reach a deal when it's clear that the Iranians don't want to give up on the nuclear plan?
Well, you know, I'm not the official spokesman for the President of the United States, but I can tell from what he says that he's giving them another opportunity. And so that's what he's doing. For all I know, that we are moving our military in different positions and so forth and resetting ourselves. But look, my view is simple. This regime needs to be defeated. And I'll leave it to the experts to figure out, but there are general things that need to be done. Number one, militarily, there's more that needs to be done. And we kind of stopped about 3/4 of the way through. Economically, that strait needs to be open, so they need to be choked. And there are choke points along there that could literally destroy the Iranian economy even more than it is now. But number three, my view again, is we need to arm the Iranians. To suggest that they rise up with their bare hands again, they've demonstrated they are courageous people, they are strong people. You know, I think about what took place in the founding of the State of Israel when the Israelis, the Jews, were attacked by the Arabs who would not accept the partition. And there were a lot of arms, perhaps not enough, but a lot of arms that were secreted into the Jewish forces, the Israeli forces, to fight back. That's a good thing. I served in the Reagan administration when we armed the Mujahideen and the Northern Alliance in Afghanistan, the Contras in Nicaragua and so forth. That was a big part of the Reagan doctrine, where we didn't have to put our troops on the ground, but they're people who want to be liberated and free. And in Iran, they've made it clear multiple times, those people have put their lives on the line. You got 92 million people. There are about 80 million who feel like they're in a concentration camp with the lights out, the communications killed, and people being executed at record rates. And my view is, why would we not help them help themselves as part of a overall comprehensive battle plan? So that's what I've been arguing about here in the United States.
Yes, when international experts say Iran still possesses more than 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, if airstrikes alone can't eliminate the threat, does the American public understand that this could require a ground war?
The American public is not going to support sending in American troops. So whether it's a good idea, bad idea, or people are neutral, doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. But we have people we can arm. We didn't send ground troops into Afghanistan under Reagan. We didn't send them into Angola. We didn't send them into Nicaragua, and we defeated the entire Soviet Union. So Iran is on its back, thanks to the United States military and the Israeli military. Its top several tiers of leadership have been taken out. That's another opportunity for us as far as I'm concerned. And the other point I've been making over and over again in our country, my country here, is if you don't destroy the regime, you're not going to be able to contain this revolution and this ideology. They will outlive President Trump. They will try and outlive Benjamin Netanyahu. They will look for weakness in our country. The Democrats are very weak. We have some very weak Republicans. You got a lot of weak candidates there running like they're George Patton right now, but they're not. They are weak. You've got two of the greatest leaders in modern time, Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump. And so my view is we've got the United States military there big time. You've got the Israeli military that is ready to go big time. We even have a number of the Arab countries who've about had it with Iran, UAE among them. And so when you look at history, there's a small window of opportunity when things have been set up like this. They didn't just happen. Our countries caused it to happen. The people are ready to rise up. They've demonstrated that. So my view is we do whatever we have to do to, and dare I say, regime change. That's right. Destroy the regime, and then you can make sure they'll never have nuclear weapons again.
Yeah, you called the Iranian deal disastrous and warned that if the Iranian regime survives, the Israeli government could fall in the upcoming elections. Can you explain what you mean by that?
You've got a very weird election system there, no offense. And your most popular person for prime minister is Benjamin Netanyahu, but he has to pull together a coalition. Then you have guys like Bennett who are running around, sort of a chameleon. He takes every side of every issue. We won't have the Arab parties, then we have the Arab parties. And now he's with Lapid, who's kind of a crazy leftist and so forth and so on. Then you got this guy Lieberman, who makes comments that would harm the coalition between the United States and Netanyahu, that is Trump and Netanyahu, where he makes personal attacks on both of them, claiming that they have some kind of private deal and so forth and so on. These are lightweights, okay? These are lightweights. I'm telling you, somebody who studies history, American history and Israeli history. You've got one of the greatest people you can imagine as prime minister, and we have one of the greatest people you can imagine as president right now. And so what I'm saying is very simple. What's happening now is your left-wing media, and there's a lot of it in Israel, and our left-wing media, your left-wing media, along with the Bennett types, are saying, this government can't finish the job. This government won't finish the job. Well, that government, led by Likud and your prime minister, is brought to the point where Iran is on the brink. It's on the brink. But Netanyahu has to navigate a lot of waters, including dealing with us, dealing with Europe, dealing with the Arab countries, dealing with the Quislings in your country who want to be prime minister, and on top of that, fighting all these fronts in his war. I don't know who else could do anything like this, quite frankly. So my concern is that depending how on my country responds, we could have a situation where the regime in Iran survives, Hezbollah survives, Hamas survives, and the weakest elements in your politics take over the government by claiming to be the strongest elements in your government. I'm worried about that a lot, so we'll see.
Yeah, let's talk about Netanyahu's trial. You've called it a miscarriage of justice. With Israeli elections approaching and the war still unresolved, do you think President Herzog should pardon Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I don't know him. I've never met him. Of course he should, because what's going on is disastrous on many levels. Number one, what kind of judicial system do you have? You have a judicial tyranny, with the Supreme Court in particular and the Chief Justice run the country. They've determined for themselves who will be on the court. They've determined for themselves that anybody has standing who they say has standing. This is unusual. There's nothing like this in the entire Western civilization. They determine everything from your culture to your religious issues, to your civil issues, to your military issues. And so you have an out-of-control attorney general. In our country, the attorney general reports to the president. In your country, the attorney general is a loose cannon that essentially reports to the Supreme Court and the court system. There's nothing like it in the world, and there shouldn't be anything like it in the world. You've had, during the Enlightenment, you had John Locke and Montesquieu and others talking about the tyranny of even a democracy, where you have this authoritarian power, not checks and balances, power checking power, but you have unelected judges who say, we have the final say, based on what? Reasonableness. Have you ever sat at a dinner table with a liberal who claims to be reasonable? They're not reasonable. They're ideologues, but they self-righteously claim to be reasonable. And they're not reasonable. So you have a court filled with people like this. My wife and I sat in for 3.5 hours in Tel Aviv and watched this trial. And I am a lawyer, and my wife is a lawyer. And I've been a lawyer a long time in the American court system, and I watched it, and I couldn't believe it. There must have been 15 or 20 prosecutors sitting there. You guys must have an awful lot of money to burn to have 15 or 20 prosecutors sitting in a courtroom. I've never seen anything like that. We have tops, maybe 3, usually 2 for our trial. You have 15 or 20 lined up against the prime minister of your country, and they're talking about Mickey Mouse nonsense, that took place 15 years ago. Do you remember this meeting that took place on the January 12th? And said, what, are you out of your minds? About cigars and about stuffed animals and so forth? You're a serious country with serious issues, domestic and international. And then I saw, this really took the cake for me, Then I saw the prime minister got a note because you're in the middle of the war in Gaza. He got a note, he opened it, he read it. So he asked, can we end the trial at 3 o'clock rather than 3:30? You know what happened? You had to get the approval of the prosecution. The prosecution says, okay, it's up to the judges. So the judges say, okay. So he has to justify 30 minutes why he needed to end the trial. You're in the middle of, I've never seen such idiocy in my life. Your judicial system, hate to say it, is a laughingstock in the United States because you don't have the proper checks and balances. You don't have the proper people in the right place. And your former Chief Justice, Barack, literally destroyed your judicial system. I'm just pointing it out. Donald Trump sees it. Alan Dershowitz sees it. Great prosecutors throughout the United States see it. Great jurists in the United States. We have a great jurist named Posner. He wrote all about Barack and your courts, what a mess they are. I'm not even happy with the American courts, quite frankly. But our court system looks like it's the most enlightened system on the face of the earth compared to what goes on in Israel. So to answer your question, your court system is tyrannical. That's what it is. And as long as the court system remains tyrannical, you have a quasi-democracy. You have authoritarian democracy, not because of your Knesset, not because of your executive, but because of your judiciary. You have a tyrannical judiciary.
Yeah, crazy country, as you said. One last question, if I may. This week, Tucker Carlson was interviewed on Israeli Channel 13, and many people here view this as deeply disgraceful. What do you make of the rise of anti-Semitism within parts of the American right, and what do you think of this interview?
First of all, how stupid is it for a news organization in Israel to platform such a reprobate, such a Jew hater, such an Israel hater as Tucker Carlson, who I've been exposing for a year now as the fool and the buffoon that he is. I mean, he's becoming a laughingstock in the United States of America so bad that the president of the United States has essentially excommunicated him from his own political movement. So has the Republican Party. So has the conservative movement. I mean, his biggest audience can be found in the hills of Pakistan and places like that. And for a large news organization to give him time in Israel, not to debate, this guy doesn't debate, but to sling around his smears and his libels like he did is really, to me, repulsive. The left media in our country promotes him too. They promote him to attack conservatives, people like me, to attack the president of the United States, to undermine the Republican Party, because our media, to a great extent, is in the back pocket of the Democrats. And so they like stirring the pot with this guy. But this guy is not a serious person. He's a dangerous person, but he's not a serious person. And there's a group of them just like him, a cabal just like him. So anti-Semitism is a very big problem. It is a very big issue. We are fighting it as hard as we can. The president of the United States is fighting it too. He just set up a brand new commission at the Department of Justice to examine this even closer. He signed an executive order at the beginning of his second term. He signed one in his first term to really put teeth in the effort to deal with anti-Semitism in our colleges and local communities. The education department's looking at this. They're looking very seriously with the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security at individuals who came into the country under the prior administration, the Biden administration, who are pushing their Islamism and their anti-Americanism and their anti-Semitism, and we're taking a close look at it. But again, we have a court system. We have lower courts that are filled with Biden appointees that make it very difficult to do what we need to do. But the president and the conservative movement are pressing ahead. To make something very clear, Tucker Carlson is not a conservative. Tucker Carlson is not a Republican. I don't know what he is, other than a bastard, but he's not part of really the formal political system, and he doesn't want to be part of the formal political system. But the fact is, he's been rejected and is being rejected by more and more red-blooded, patriotic Americans. I feel quite confident that the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel, they've done what needs to be done, and that they will get done what needs to be done. This is a complicated matter in some ways and a simplistic matter in some ways. That regime needs to go. But there are all kinds of pressures in our country and outside our country, and same pressures outside your country, that are addressed along the way. So maybe it takes a little longer than we hope, but I stand among those, or speak for myself, but stand with those who say, let's get this done, let's get it over with. It's not going to get easier, it's going to get harder. And the only way we can be certain that they'll never have nuclear weapons or the kind of uranium that they can turn around in a few weeks for nuclear weapons is to take them out. It's not simple, but take them out. And I think that's what's eventually going to be done, because it has to be done.
Yeah, I hope President Trump is listening. Mark Levin, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you. The great people of Israel, the great people of the United States stand with you.